G'day, I'm Aussierobbo.
Hello there, I'm the English Gent.
And welcome to our episode on the Coronado Springs Resort Hotel.
So we haven't shown a lot of the resort or the hotel during our previous episodes because we knew we wanted to dedicate a whole episode as a walking tour.
We did rent a car and we did have parking included as part of the package for the hotel and also parking for the resorts.
So we were lucky enough to get upgraded from one of the Casitas apartments to the actual Destino tower, which I was really pleased with. Gorgeous view of the whole resort, beautiful in the mornings and the evenings alike. All the usual amenities within the room itself. We got 2 queen beds, which was quite useful to dump our junk on at the end of each day. And plug sockets, USBs, all really nicely placed, which is really convenient for anyone who's got camera equipment, etc., to charge up on a regular basis. The usual thing was safe, really beautiful lighting, a huge choice of lighting. Bathroom, they give you the usual H2O product and they can be stocked up on a daily basis. Really good stuff as well, what we used. Yeah, and we couldn't have asked for more from that room. It was really nicely presented, it was comfortable to stay in, and just beautiful all round. And as you can see, the view from the room was fantastic. You could see the whole resort and beyond into the theme parks themselves, which became quite advantageous certain nights when the fireworks were going off. We found in the past that most resorts you stay at, whether in or around Walt Disney World, whether it be Disney properties or otherwise, do tend to have decent access to vending machines and also ice machines. Sadly, ours wasn't working on our floor, however there was another alternative one on above and below, so it was easy access. And as with the vending machines, they take contactless payment, which is really handy because we don't tend to carry around too much shrapnel and change when we're walking around the resorts. Now, the lifts in this particular tower are something rather special and kind of confusing when you first start using them. You don't need to do anything apart from just select what floor you want to go to when you first get to the lift doors. Then when you get inside, it's a nice surprise, there's no buttons to press. Essentially, it will tell you which way to go to the next available lift and where it's going to take you, and it'll automatically take you down to that floor that you've requested and anybody else who may be in that lift with you beforehand. We've never had a quicker service on lifts, especially staying in a tower as big as the Grand Destino. It can be quite confusing. You'll often get people walking in looking for the buttons to press once they get in there. So this takes you down to the basement, which is just a floor below the actual entrance and check-in desk area. This will be the link you have to the old El Centro. El Centro is where you used to check in, and now they've kind of shifted all that over to the Grand Destino Tower, because that being the central hub and centre point and focus for the whole resort. Actually quite a nice walk. You get to see some of the gardens and the lake view, and often we found it was pretty quiet down this corridor, so it was quite nice to sort of just get away from everybody and the hullabaloo of the main entrance. So as you can see as we approach here, this corridor actually links to the old sort of check-in area, which is really beautiful. There is a hidden Mickey in there. You may spot it later on, but I'll leave that for you to find. You you can't miss it, it's quite large. But as you can see, it was all decorated for Christmas. We were there back in November, and it was really lovely. Pretty quiet, but we did find at some points of the week that we were staying there that if a convention was happening, it could get pretty busy in there, because they would often do larger group bookings of conventions through this building still. So it still had desk space, but it also had a nice area where you could just sit and be quiet away from everybody. Then to the left you've got Panchitos, which is the gifts and sundries, and you've also got, as part of that, where you can get coffees, cakes, snack food really quickly. For the gift shop, you've immediately got the main hub of restaurants. We'll go into those in more detail later on, but for the moment the most common one that we went to was El Mercado, which is in the El Centro original building, and it's surrounded by lots of other bars and restaurants as well. From the El Mercado you can get your usual sort of snacks, walk away snacks, grab and go, things like salads, sandwiches, cakes, etc. But also they've got quite a wide range of freshly cooked meals, mostly things like burgers and chicken dishes, hot dogs, but all slightly amped up and to sort of suit the flavours and theming of a sort of largely Mexican/Spanish theme. Service is pretty good here. It does get really busy at breakfast, we noticed, so you can often be waiting a fair while in the queue to be served. However, once you've got your food, it doesn't take long to check out. One thing we always do is we pick up one of the refillable cups. They can seem like a bit of an expense when you first grab them. I believe they've gone up in price since this, probably around $18, something like that, but if they are really worth it if you are going to be using one of the resorts. So a typical breakfast for me is you can't go without having the Mickey waffles with syrup. I always chuck a bit of sausage or something else on the side, because let's face it, that sugar rush is going to get you later on in the morning. And then for Rob, he went with the sort of tater tots with bacon, and then the really nice biscuits, which are basically a scone with gravy, because he's obsessed with gravy, and then sausages on the side. And as you can see, the take-away cup. I personally didn't have any complaints about the breakfast themselves. Often found they set me up for the day.
So we are back having food in the cafeteria again today, and we've both gone for the candied bacon cheeseburger. So give that a try from the cafeteria, see how it goes.
Same goes for lunch, as we did lunch a couple of times here, mostly burgers or hot dogs. I found that the sides and the sort of condiments on the dishes themselves were really nice. They went with it really nicely. I preferred it much more to, say, when we've been to Pop Century. The meals there were very substandard for approximately the same price. Here it felt like a bit more quality and a bit more care and attention put into especially the meat dishes. I really liked the steak and cheese sub as well. You'll find as you leave the main hub of buildings there is a huge amount of free space outside, lots of places to explore, and some really great views from whichever part of the lake you're standing on. Disney last year basically completed work on the Three Bridges project, which essentially breaks the lake up, so you're not having to necessarily walk all the way around, because I know a lot of people were struggling with getting from A to B if they were stopping at a particular part of the resort and they were then trying to get to the central section. So that's a really nice addition. It's quite picturesque as well, but we'll go into more detail about that later. Plenty of outdoor seating, and as you can see, squirrels. Got Rick's Bar and Grill, which is right opposite. We never used it, but it was quite popular, especially in the evenings. And then as part of this building, it attaches directly onto the convention centre. From the convention centre, there's nothing thrilling about this particular area. It's within keeping. You can tell it's an older building. They haven't changed it that much since they've put up the tower, etc. But there are some useful areas in here, one of which is where you can pick up your post. So if you don't know, Amazon Prime and other services, you can actually get deliveries to Disney resorts. There's always a bit of a surcharge on the side, usually between $5 or $6. Some of them you can only collect from the reception, or they'll tell you where to go to collect the parcels. Some of us are actually now starting to offer delivery to your room as well. I don't know whether that actually costs more, whether it's like a couple of dollars more, but we found it really useful to get items that we couldn't buy back in the UK. So El Mercado, typical breakfast, lunch and dinner. We use the sort of reusable cups, usually just under $20 to get one of these cups. You can't use any of the fountains without one. They have a chip in that needs activating, and as you can see, when you press the button, nothing at all happens. Put the cup on and it recognises it, and it will let you fill up as much as you like. You can go back and forth as much as you like. You can take it off the resort with you. I used it for coffee because I often like hot drinks. Rob's not so much into hot drinks like coffee and tea. But yeah, it's really handy, and we've found that with all resorts we've ever stayed at, it's quite handy throughout a week or 2 week trip to have one of those. So then you've got the Maya Grill. We did originally have a booking for Toledo, which is upstairs. Go into that a little bit more later. But yeah, we never got to try the Maya Grill. It looked quite nice with the dishes and the range that they had there. So as we leave El Centro and the main hub of the Gran Destino Tower, you're heading along the side of a lake, and the first section you'll hit will be the Casitas. The Casitas is essentially the apartments that you would stay in if you're not staying in the tower. There are three sort of sections around the lake which are similar to this, and we'll go into each of those in more detail. The first one is Casitas. So with the Casitas, it's based on, I would say, sort of, it's lakeside. It's residential areas of sort of like colonial cities found throughout Mexico, and like I say, it's apartments. It's similar to the style you would get at places like Pop Century, where you've got sort of 3 floors, and it's easy access. It's actually really beautifully done. I wouldn't mind staying in this place myself if we weren't in the Gran Destino Tower itself, because all the rooms have been updated to match and fit with the Gran Destino themes. One of the things I really liked about this resort is, first of all, the lake is beautiful, and the way it's situated with all the apartments around the lake is really fantastic. but it also gives people the opportunities, and they encourage this at Disney. They essentially give you the option to do your daily run around the actual lake itself, because that's quite a bit of a workout, especially if it's in the middle of summer. I'm personally not a runner, but I'm sure some of you out there who do like to run would really appreciate this aspect, that you can do like the perfect run with sort of flat surface and a sort of a natural winding pathway around the lakeside itself. And you'll also find plenty of wildlife to spot on your way. In regards to these main three sort of residential areas, guest areas, each one of them does have its own small pool. There is also the main pool, which we'll be heading to later on. But yeah, just to reassure you, there is a small pool for guests at each of these sort of housing areas. So the next guest area that you'll be hitting along the walkway is the Ranchos area of the resort. The Ranchos essentially slightly same sort of setup in regards of rooms, but the style and look tends to represent sort of ranch houses of the sort of dry southern western regions of northern Mexico. Really beautifully done. They have a lot more sort of rocky areas, a bit more overgrowth, but yeah, it's really beautiful. And you'll have a nice walk through whichever sort of area you're staying in. They're all kept really clean and tidy, and pretty quiet as well. wait, what do we have here? What's that? Oh no, more squirrels. So next up on our walk, you come along the main sort of outdoor entertainment area. This is the what's known as the dig site. So it's got this kind of like ancient Mayan sort of temple vibe going on. Really nice little area. Again, wasn't too overrun with people and kids. We really enjoyed it whenever we went down there. There's plenty of options here. You've got there's even a sort of beach volleyball section. You've got ping pong, and there's bars and sort of small places that you can grab a snack as well. As with all the resorts in Disney, they want to keep kids and adults entertained, so there's a very retro feeling sort of arcade. We never actually ventured into this one, which is strange for us, because normally when we went to Pop Century we spent quite a few hours in there competing at basketball. The usual machines, like I say, quite dated, but kind of fun and passes the time, especially if it's a rainy or colder day. The usual card system can be used for credits to use on these arcade machines, and this is situated right next to the dig site itself. So back outside you can see the outdoor ping pong tables. I think there's also the Happy Sack game you can play there, and then there's the pool itself. The pool is quite large. We enjoyed it whenever we went in there. The lifeguards and the cast members like to put on entertainment whenever they can, whether it be quizzes, exercising. Music is played, but it's not kind of over the top, and it's within keeping with the themes of the actual resort itself. So for us, when we were there, it was Spanish and Mexican themed Christmas songs, some of which we actually knew, which was quite nice. As you leave the old dig site, this is the final sort of guest residential area you'll meet, and it's the Cabanas. The Cabanas, again, have all been updated room-wise to match the updated tower rooms, so they're all supposed to be really, really nice and within keeping with the theming, and there's pretty much the same amenities throughout. The Cabanas is also one of the ones where it's closest to the Grand Destino Tower, so it's easy access to reception and all the bars and restaurants that were within the Grand Destino Tower itself, at the main entrance. One of the things we really liked about this resort was also during the walks around the lake, there's lots of stop-off areas where it's just really quiet. You can take a seat or even take a hammock and literally sort of while the day away, reading or listening to music. I believe this is why it's quite popular with convention goers, because they can literally just get away and it's not heavily themed with Disney characters or music. So now we head back towards the Grand Destino Tower, which is where we started from. It's now the central hub for the whole resort. You can play chess. You can again take a seat in the very Gaudi-esque sort of seated area around the lakeside. This is also where they sometimes hold things like weddings and special events in the sort of area in front of the building. As you head back in, you'll also see that there is a definite theming difference. So with the Grand Destino Tower, it's definitely based more around Barcelona and Salvador Dali. For those who don't know, the Walt Disney had a project on a short film called Destino with Salvador Dali many years ago, and it was kind of unfinished until more recently, where artists took over and finished the project off. In the lower lounge, this is the Barcelona lounge, and as you can see, the posts and the sort of architecture around this whole area is very Gaudi-esque, Gaudi being a very famous architect from Barcelona. This felt really familiar to me because I spent many visits to Barcelona, and this was really lovely and beautiful, and they continue the theme throughout the hotel itself. So with the short film Destino in mind, which was the collaboration between Salvador Dali and Walt, the actual film plays in the lobby, and you'll also find art and storyboards throughout the resort taken from the film itself and sort of playing sections of the film itself, whether it be in the rooms, hallways or restaurants. When arriving at Coronado Springs, the first sections you'll hit will be the parking and the sort of bus stops. Huge car parks and sort of space in general in front of the actual main building as you enter. But it's pretty easy to get round. The car parks are sort of split up so you can park in different sections nearer to your part of the resort, which is really handy. If you don't have a car rental, which we did at this occasion, please bear in mind that there isn't the Skyliner. You will be purely sort of surviving on the Magical Express itself. The Magical Express was it was a regular service and really easy to catch and sort of drop off. Just be mindful of the stops, because some of them will drop you off a lot further away from where you want to be within the resort. So always ask or just check the map as to which stop's most appropriate for you, as to where you get on and get off the Magical Express itself. Car park is really easy to use as well. Always loads of space whenever we were there, even during the busiest periods. Just off to the side of the reception, you will find drinking fountains, also toilets. So if you have checked out, there is still availability to use those amenities downstairs. There's a cash machine, and there's also a post box to post off letters, postcards, etc. to family members, etc. while you're there, which is quite handy. Our stay here was really smooth. Staff were really lovely. You'd always find the cast members would say hello, be really welcoming, always smiling, always seeming genuinely happy to see you. They would respond to any requests. One thing I'll say, which I'd noticed which was great about the reception, was that if there's a queue, you will have cast members going up and down the line to sort of see if there's anything they can sort out right there and then, rather than having to sort of wait until we get to the front. So that was a great plus. We did actually get to spend one evening at the Three Bridges. It's called Lago Dorado, the Three Bridges Bar and Grill. Amazing views and really nice choice of it's like a bar menu with a sort of Spanish/Mexican theme. We really enjoyed it. There's great amazing cocktails to drink, both alcoholic and non-alcoholic. We've tried both and we weren't disappointed with any of them. The bar food is imaginative, probably similar or more akin to Jock Lindsay's Hangar Bar at Disney Springs. If you've ever tried there, then I'm sure you'll like this place. Service was really good, great atmosphere, a bit like a sports bar, but a bit more laid back and chilled. Really popular with convention goers. As Coronado Springs is a convention centre, that's something you may want to be aware of when booking, that you may come across very large groups of business people or cheerleaders at any given time, but while we were there it was no problem at all. Mostly business people having sort of after meeting drinks, and the staff were really friendly. Like I say, the atmosphere was great and the place looked beautiful, as did the views. If you found this episode useful and you want to see more, then we do still have a couple of episodes left in this series coming up in the next couple of weeks, and we've also got our previous episodes to take a look at. We're also on Instagram, and it's Aussierobbo and the English Gent, and you can also find us on Twitter too. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.